Welcome to Italy, a place where history and culture beautifully collide. From Tuscany's golden hills to Milan's trendy avenues, this country captivates the heart. Over 70 million tourists visit Italy annually, drawn to pasta that melts in your mouth, gelato that cools your soul, and an ever-present air of romance. Many can't wait to book a ticket or dream of retirement, enjoying a glass of Aperol Spritz under the Mediterranean sun, surrounded by Italy's endless charm. But for Italians, their country is a living nightmare. Today's Italy struggles with enormous financial challenges, carried by a mountain of debt larger than any ancient Roman ruin. The nation's debt-to-GDP ratio has soared to an alarming 140.21%, casting a dark shadow over its economic prospects. Once lively with young laughter, the streets now echo with the quiet of an aging population. The fertility rate hit rock bottom at 1.18 in 1995, only briefly bouncing back to 1.46 in 2010, and then dropping again to 1.24 in 2023. In a country with 59 million people, fewer than 400,000 babies are born each year, and this number continues to decline. And given the overwhelming economic and demographic challenges, the current trajectory suggests a hopeless future. This is why Italy will never recover from its economic crisis. Will the streets grow quieter, losing its bright young minds, or is there a spark waiting to ignite a remarkable turnaround? To answer these pressing questions, we must journey back in history to a time when Italy's economy was booming, and children were seen as the future backbone of the nation. In the hopeful days following World War II, Italy experienced a remarkable demographic surge, with families having an average of 2.5 children. Surged by optimism, factories roared back to life, creating jobs and wealth, and the big family concept transformed into a symbol of prosperity and hope. In the predominantly agricultural setting of the era, large families weren't just a cultural tradition, but a practical necessity crucial for farm labor. The Catholic Church, influential and deeply rooted in Italian society, actively encouraged celebrating large families as a divine blessing. But then, everything changed. As Italy transitioned from an agrarian to an industrialized economy, the financial cost of raising children skyrocketed, with estimates suggesting an average expense of around 175,000 euros per child. The pride of large families has become a luxury during economic crises, causing a domino effect where fewer children in a family result in a smaller workforce and a shrinking economy. Italy used to love big families, but people started thinking twice about having kids as money got tighter. Now, with a quarter of its population over 65, Italy is facing a demographic catastrophe. Why did a once thriving economy grapple with young people leaving, declining childbirth rates, and enduring not just one or two, but three separate periods of economic stagnation with no progress? The industrial boom isn't the only factor in this complex situation. A deeper dive reveals that it's also about the decisions made within Italy's political structure during and after the war that had long-lasting repercussions, creating challenges that Italy still struggles to overcome today. After the war, Italy was in ruins and faced the monumental task of rebuilding from scratch. Enter the U.S. with the Marshall Plan, a huge financial boost aimed at helping Italy get back on its feet. This influx of cash was transformative, turning the ruins of war into foundations for growth. Industries that had been passive or destroyed during the war sprang back to life, fueling a booming economy. From the outside, Italy was doing rather well. On the inside, though, it was maxing out their credit cards. Their massive debt was largely to blame for the growth, and the U.S. was more than pleased to keep the loans coming, desperate to keep communism away. After the initial rush of rebuilding and construction in post-war Italy started to wind down, the country encountered its first major setback in modern times. This tough phase lasted for 6 years and proved to be demanding for its people. During this era, Italy battled with a series of major issues simultaneously. High unemployment was a major concern, with many people struggling to secure jobs. On top of that, a mountain of national debt grew bigger and bigger. Inflation was another thorn in the side, diminishing the value of money and making everyday life more expensive for everyone. And if that wasn't enough, there was also the skyrocketing cost of fossil fuels, a critical resource that Italy's industries heavily depended on. All these factors combined to create a perfect storm, making it an extremely challenging situation for the country. Economic challenges often lead to necessary changes. Italy took this chance to reassess its strategies during its initial economic slowdown. The focus shifted from infrastructure development to producing goods for international markets. From 1985 to 1992, Italy was on a roll, tripling its industrial output in what seemed like a blink. Their secret? The Made in Italy label. This tag was a golden ticket, not just a label. People worldwide were shelling out extra cash for anything that boasted Italian craftsmanship, from cool sports cars to fancy handbags, even olive oil. Not only were these Italian products far more costly than others, but individuals were willing to pay that higher price. Italy wasn't just discrediting the opposition, they aimed to create exceptional works that everyone wanted to own. However, this economic party brought some old skeletons out of the closet. The Italian government and people got carried away with borrowing money, thinking the good times would keep rolling. But they didn't. Italy's small-scale industries, key export players, were experts at tax dodging, exploiting lax regulations and loopholes. This tax evasion almost became a national trend. Lower taxes, fewer regulations, and increased borrowing helped restore Italy's economy, providing a much-needed boost after the slow 1980s. However, Italy's ambition to join the Eurozone meant getting its finances in order. This involved reducing its huge debt and improving tax compliance. While these steps were essential for financial stability, they also drained money from the economy, slowing growth. As a result, Italy faced another period of sluggish economic progress in the 90s. Then, in 1999, Italy adopted the euro, giving the country a fresh start. The economy soared, more than doubling in less than a decade. Joining the Eurozone attracted foreign investment and workers and smoothed out exchange rate issues. Italy was making a strong comeback. This resurgence was boosted by the growth of manufacturing and industries like tourism. And then, the global financial crisis followed by the Eurozone turmoil struck, plunging Italy into a prolonged 15-year period of stagnation. Once a hub of innovation, Italy has transformed into a nation weighed down by debt, a debt that continues to haunt it to this day. Heading into 2024, Italy's national debt is $3.01 trillion, towering at about 140.21% of its GDP. Adding to the complexity, Italian businesses face a unique challenge. They're way smaller than the European counterparts. The average Italian firm employs just 3.6 workers, in contrast to the Western European average of around 15. This size gap matters. Larger companies typically produce more specialized, high-value products, thanks to their larger workforces focusing on their strengths. Smaller Italian companies, with fewer employees, need help to specialize and compete with the diversity and sophistication of bigger firms in other countries. This disadvantage leaves the country in a tight spot. Reducing taxes and hiking spending could knock down its weak local industries. Borrowing more? That's flirting with bankruptcy. But staying stagnant might only make things worse. Economically, there's usually hope for a brighter future, riding on 2 centuries of growth. But for Italy, if nothing changes, it seems to be a dead end. Italy's population is steadily decreasing, losing about 200,000 people each year. And this decline is expected to continue, with a projected 20% decrease in the next 50 years. Despite producing top-tier students in Europe, many graduates leave for better prospects elsewhere, creating a surplus of empty homes. As a response, Italy actively seeks ways to revive its economy and shake off the image of being a nation of old people. One notable initiative is the €1 house scheme. This simple plan involves towns selling vacant houses for just €1, primarily to foreign buyers. These European residences are not giveaways, though. If you purchase one, repairs are required. Many have been empty for a long time and need decent work. The renovation? It'll set you back around €30,000. It's a deal where buyers score a cheap house and towns clear out some neglected buildings. But can this stop talent outflow or solve Italy's major issues? It's an interesting idea, but unlikely to solve Italy's economic troubles. However, it addresses an ideology that Italy is trying to change, and it's just one piece of a larger puzzle. Recognizing the need for more necessary solutions, Italy launched a major plan on December 8, 2023, to tackle the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and the energy crisis resulting from Russia's conflict in Ukraine. As part of the EU initiative, this €194.4 billion plan is focused on long-term change, strongly emphasizing green energy and technological advancements to future-proof Italy's economy. With this project, they're not just betting on projects and reforms. They're banking on their young, sharp minds to be the game changers. Because let's face it, a plan is only as good as the people driving it. Alongside other initiatives, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government is reshaping Italy's economic landscape. They've announced a $4.4 billion cut in payroll taxes for low-income earners and reduced taxes for workers with children, aiming to tackle the declining birth rate. Italy is introducing a new welfare scheme with a budget of $6.2 billion, providing increased benefits for those who can't work due to disability or family commitments. By promoting employment, fostering family expansion, and acting as a safety net, these programs help strengthen Italy's economy and promote long-term financial security. Another important goal Italy is working on is helping different parts of the country grow their economies and come up with new ideas. Milan and Lombardy are perfect examples of that. Milan is at the forefront, vibrant with financial and industrial activities, drawing in top talent and significant investments. Meanwhile, the Northeast is keeping pace, boldly moving away from traditional methods and restoring its economic landscape with a diverse system of modern industries. But it's not all smooth sailing. Starting a business in Italy is like navigating a complex puzzle blindfolded. Red tape, which means excessive bureaucracy and strict regulations, creates major hurdles. You're faced with mountains of paperwork, frustrating delays, and costs so high they'll make your wallet cry. Additionally, younger generations in Italy encounter challenges within the banking system, which is grappling with its own issues. Some mid-sized banks are in a tough spot, functioning but facing financial struggles, almost like zombies. This situation is a significant issue for small businesses. Typically, these banks would be the main funding source for small enterprises, providing them with the necessary capital to expand. To assist businesses in overcoming this hurdle, measures are more than necessary. Italy is also strategically leveraging its historical culinary expertise by capitalizing on its advantage in the culinary world. However, while Italy is celebrated for its world-class food, according to experts, the same cannot be said for its exports and agriculture, both of which have experienced limited growth. Farms are grappling with labor shortages as the younger generation migrates to cities. Italy should focus on producing high-quality products rather than simply increasing quantity. These are just a few of the many steps that Italy must take to address these challenges directly and restore its economy for the well-being of future generations. On a positive note, the expected decrease in inflation to 2.7% in 2024 and 2.3% in 2025 signals brighter days ahead. Remember, Italy is still adapting to the euro currency, and though progress may be gradual, in perhaps 1 or 2 decades, Italy can rise and become one of the greatest countries for its people. However, if unchanged, they may drift into a future where its vibrant past becomes a faded memory, marked by unfulfilled potential.